Stand by.
Hey guys, KP Jax here. This is our last episode of Fallout Shelter for Android gameplay. Been playing for a few weeks successfully. My first few vaults dwindled and died. I'm up to now, after several weeks of play, I'm up to 158 dwellers, many rooms, an abundance of cash in the bank, and lots of people leveling up. I've seen lots of marauders or raiders. I've seen lots of Deathclaw attacks. I have seen lots of babies born. I have seen many rooms built. I've seen a lot of stuff. So if you're watching this now, when you start building, you want to go through the tutorial. Now the tutorial kind of sets you up for failure because they don't give you full range of the top floor, and then that kind of messes up your consecutive floor. So you may have to go back and kind of rearrange things later on down the road. But you want to build a power room, a diner, and a water treatment first of all. Those first three things, water, food, and power, are what you need to initially survive. Once you've gotten those three rooms, you can begin expanding. You're going to want to expand your rooms and upgrade them to the most current room. 3 wide is preferable, and upgrading them 3 times is optimal. That way you get the most production. When you are training your personnel, training your dwellers, you want to make sure that you train them in the kinds of rooms that they like. So if you get a person who has high agility, you want to make sure that they're in the diner. If you get a person who has high strength, you want to put them in the power room. And if you have a person who has high perception, you want to stick them in the water treatment. Now the other ones, there's a classroom where you can build your intelligence. So then you can build your med bay and your science room, so you can get your stim packs and your other things like that. And then you can build your agility in other rooms and build your intelligence and build your perception and your endurance and all that stuff. And you definitely want to increase your skills because they make your people more productive. Now, on to construction, building as many rooms as you can across is what I recommend, 3 wide as much as possible. I built elevators on both sides of my vaults once I got down to a certain level, just so people could move faster in case I needed to move guns up to the top when I got attacked. Deathclaws like to use the elevator, so if you have an elevator on either side, they go back and forth using each elevator, which means that they can attack rooms more than once and your people can die. With that, make sure you're working on your endurance, your agility, and your strength. Those are very important when fighting enemies. Those are the 3 key things. Perception is great. So you don't get in attacks like when you're out in the wasteland, when you send your people out. So you want to make sure to pay attention to that. Make sure you're paying attention to your caps. With caps, it's pretty obvious. That's what you need to build rooms. Now, you can get caps a couple of ways. 1 is by sending people out to the waste, and 2 is leveling up your people. Every time your person levels up, they get caps. So let's say you go from level 1 to level 2, you get 2 caps. If you go to level 3, you get 3 caps. 4 caps. Level 50, 5 caps, and so on. It doesn't seem like much, but when you end up with 150 dwellers at the end of the game, and they're all, level anywhere between 1 to, level 47, 48, whatever, and they're all, leveling up over, simultaneously, it does end up being a lot. Outfits. You want to make sure that you're sending people out to the waste, and they will bring back outfits, and you want to immediately put these outfits onto your dwellers. They help by increasing different skills like agility or intelligence or strength or things like that, and it increases their special skills. Weapons, when you get weapons, immediately distribute them. Don't hang on to them. Don't try to, make sure this guy's good with that gun or whatever. Immediately distribute them. When you get attacked by raiders and when you get attacked by Deathclaw, that is not the time to be distributing guns. So in my vault, everybody gets a gun, whether you're level 1 or level 50. It doesn't matter. As soon as they're old enough, according to the game, which is 3 hours after they're born, they get a gun. Special characters. You get special characters, mainly the way I've gotten it is 2 ways. Is the lunchbox, which is a great way, which you do by earning your things by completing your different objectives. And the other way is to use the radio room. And what happens in the radio room is the radio room will, after a certain amount of time, will begin to draw people to you. So the people out in the waste, the dwellers that live out in the waste, they will hear you, they will hear your radio, And what they'll do with that is they will come to you, and hopefully you will be able to use them within your vault, within whatever special location you need to put them in. Now, don't go crazy increasing your population because you have to worry about food, power, water. You really only need to increase as needed. So when you run out of space in your barracks, or if you are running an objective that says, have 10 dwellers dance in the barracks, something like that. One thing to pay attention to is storage rooms. I didn't build many of these because the game only lets you, store a certain amount of things. Like your stim packs and your med kits. You'd only have 25 of them, no matter how many storage rooms I built. So it really didn't matter on what I was doing there. Power and water, they're absolutely the most essential rooms. There's no way in which you're going to get around it. Med bays and science bays, these rooms are pretty essential because you give yourself med kits and stim packs, and the med kits and stim packs are great for when you go out into the world. And what happens with that is you will now, training rooms are important. That's where you build your special skills. You're going to build classrooms and weapons rooms and strength training rooms and endurance rooms and different things like that to build to improve all of your special skills. So now, once you've made it to this point, you're probably around 80 vault dwellers, and now you're like in the advanced stage, because before that it was pretty simple to manage. But one person managing 80 people, that's pretty tough. So you need to you're probably running out of power, probably running out of water, probably running out of food. Hopefully you have caps, because the next thing is to build nuclear reactors. The next thing is to do a garden. The next thing to do is upgrade all your rooms so they can be more efficient. Training your people. The more efficient they are, you can start pumping out food within just a matter of a couple minutes versus 10, 15, 20 minutes if they have high endurance or high perception or high strength. You're definitely going to want to do that. So, how long can people stay on in the waste when you send them out? If you're finding stuff, the longest my guys have lasted have been a few days. If I leave them more than 2 days and I come back to the game and I haven't played anything, they're usually pretty beat up or they're dead. Mr. Handy does great. He goes out and he finds me all kinds of caps, so that's not a big deal. Experience levels. So I noticed a trend that the more experience my dwellers got, it seemed that the longer that they were able to survive. So if I send a level 1 person out, they die pretty darn quick. But if I send a level 30 out, they last a heck of a lot longer. So you want to definitely make sure that you're increasing your skills. You want to make sure that you max out some of the special skills first, like the endurance, the agility, and the strength, and the perception. Those would be the ones that I would increase first. So how do you keep your dwellers happy? Well, the main way is to put them in rooms where they're happy, where they have the skills that they need to perform as they should. The next way to increase people, like if they are just stuck and not happy, is put them in the barracks and let them have a baby. That will bump it up to 100% happiness. It should. And it increases your population. Around the 50 to 75 dweller point, I started noticing that I started slowing down the baby making, the creating new dwellers, just because I wanted, to be able to manage it more. Rushing rooms can boost a mood, which is great. It can increase morale, and it also gets you your skills, your levels up, and it gets you your supplies quicker. But you do have a risk. If you're over 25% risk, which means you need to build up your luck of failing a rush room, and then you get rad roaches or fires or different things like that. Don't just let dead bodies hang around in your rooms. If you're attacked by raiders, or there's a fire or rad roach or death claws, or whatever else Bethesda is going to put into this game, and your people die in your room, you have a couple options. One, you can keep working in that room. The problem with that is all of the people in that room are going to get severely depressed because there's a dead body lying around. So you have a couple options. One is to evacuate the room. If you have 2 power plants and only one is in use and somebody dies in one, put everybody in the other one. 2, if you have the money, revive them. it can only, the level 1 through 10, 20, 30, it does cost more and more. The lower the level, the less the caps. The higher the level, the more the caps. Or if you just don't have the money, you can click on the person and tell them to remove the dweller, and it gets rid of them. And they also cut down on your food and stuff. Then, if you are having blackouts and brownouts, meaning you don't have enough power, number one, build more power, which takes caps. But the rooms that you don't need, like if you have 2 diners weren't running and one keeps browning out, put your people in the main diner, and then that way you don't have to worry about one browning out because it's not going to be using any power. Add stim packs. If your people are hurt and they're dying or whatever after an attack, pass out your stim packs because your lab is just going to make more. So let's talk about going out to the waste. Having high strength, that helps you find tons of weapons, outfits, and caps because you can pry things open, you can break things, and you can take stuff. Luck helps you find tons of weapons and outfits and caps. You need outfits because it can enhance your skills. Perception helps you find better weapons and better outfits, and you last longer because you're more aware. And if you run into people, you may not fight them, you may help them, or they may help you. Endurance is just endurance. It helps you last longer. Intelligence and agility help you escape enemies that are too difficult. So instead of your character trying to fight to the death, it's going to find a way to elude the enemy. And then the last skill would be charisma, which helps with creating babies. But in the waste, when you run into people, I've sent characters out with high charisma, and they've actually gotten caps back from other, the AI characters, which is great. So you don't have to look around so much if people are just giving you money. All right, so that is my take on Fallout Shelter for Android. I've been playing this game for several weeks and gotten quite far, but it's not intriguing enough to continue just yet. I do like how the new upgrade allows you to collect items from the dead raiders, which is awesome. I thought they should have done that from the beginning. You pick up outfits or weapons or money from the raiders, things like that. Death claws seem to be easier as you gain skill levels, which is great. And same with mole rats and things like that. So make sure you're focusing on those. So again, that's my take on Fallout Shelter. Make sure that you guys check this game out. And if you guys want to see any other games played, let me know. But as always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and share. I'll talk to you next time.